Welcome to the 5. That was President Trump in the Oval Office signing a memo on sending the National Guard and other federal resources to crack down on crime in Memphis. He also spoke about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He said the suspected killer was radicalized online. Officials say Tyler Robinson is not cooperating, but his family and friends are. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Dan Bongino giving an update on the investigation.
We were able to gather a significant amount of forensic information, which we expedited back to the lab, which was the key, I think, piece of information that we were able to crack this thing open.
His family has collectively told investigators that he subscribed to left-wing ideology. He claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for.
We can confirm that his roommate was indeed a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female. He is cooperating with authorities as well.
You know, Kaylee, a big question becomes, as we were just chatting about a moment ago, when did he become deeply indoctrinated with this leftist ideology, and how did he become indoctrinated?
That's the key question. I mean, from what I read with CNN's reporting, he had a 4.0 GPA, he had a scholarship, he had a family that was close to him, and then something snapped, and we need to figure out exactly what that is. But I can tell you, as I've watched these images over the last few days, Erica Kirk, her beautiful and moving speech, and then learning about this killer, this assassin, it occurred to me, Charlie Kirk said once that there is a spiritual battle playing out all around us, and you can choose to acknowledge it, or you can choose to ignore it, but it is happening nevertheless. And you see that, what you're looking at now, this, supposed assassin, it's the face of evil. This is a guy who wrote a handwritten note that he was going to take Charlie Kirk out. He kills Charlie Kirk, a father, a husband, and then he goes on Discord and jokes about his doppelganger doing it. Who jokes after you've literally slaughtered a man? And that's the darkness. But then there's also a lot of light, and we get very caught up at the people celebrating this, and I'd like to believe they're the few voices, but there's a lot of light out there too. And I'll just end with this. There's several accounts I've seen, amazing accounts of young people. This guy, big athlete, says, I'm not an emotional guy, I don't cry. But when I watch Charlie Kirk's videos, every time he talks about God, I start to cry. Another young woman said for the first time she opened a Bible. Her in-laws had been encouraging her to do it. She never wanted to open it. And she read a scripture about the truth and the truth setting her free. These stories are huge. They are out there. There is a wave of young people in this country turning toward the light. Erica Kirk is picking up the mantle. She's carrying it forward. And that light will always beat the darkness you were just looking at.
Jesse, the FBI investigation, a lot has been made aware to the public as this is ongoing. But they've widened the probe now, as we heard through Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. They've widened this probe to some of these pro-trans groups, these online groups. And a big question, too, will become, did they know that he was going to be taking this action? Did they know in advance?
Right. So we all figured there was going to be a trans angle. So the guy was dating a trans man, whatever that means. And was this killing a romantic overture to impress this trans boyfriend? We don't know what was the motivation. But we do know that most of these trans shooters are lone wolf, mentally ill savages. This is not the case here. There might have been co-conspirators. There might have been people with foreknowledge of the attack. Did he have a cell, a little cadre of crazy people that knew this was going to happen and gave him aid and comfort? I think the investigation will show that. And this is where it's different, because a lot of these people are highly intelligent. They're highly motivated. They're well organized, and they're steeped in this progressive ideology. Luigi, Crooks, Ruth, this guy, the guy who shot Scalise, all smart people that were very, very specific about their intent, and they murdered someone in cold blood. You look at these people at these protests, they're torching cars. You look at the people at the riots, they're getting brick deliveries. They put bombs on Fox News trucks out west. These are people that are not flying off the handle. This is very well organized, and you want to say, okay, well, let's just come together. Well, how do you come together with someone like that? If they're hell-bent on murder, if they've chosen violence as a strategy to advance a political agenda. Charlie came together with him every time he went on campus, and they shot him dead in the neck. He tried to build bridges. He tried to have a dialogue, and they murdered him in cold blood. So that's where the left doesn't really understand what's been done, because if you're going to kill Charlie, you can kill anybody. This guy was not just a political activist. He was a spiritual leader of a movement. He talked about God, family, love, sovereignty, not just politics. So this was a spiritual attack, and people will be dealt with. There will be a reckoning, not violence. We don't condone violence. We would never stoop to this level, but we will drive these people out firmly and resolutely. So this kind of stuff will not exist in the United States of America ever again.
Jessica, we're learning brand new details through the Washington Post this evening. The Washington Post is reporting through two people familiar with the Discord chat that we have started to learn some details of. They're reporting that the suspect in Charlie Kirk's shooting did post to Discord, "It was me," an outright confession for what he did, saying, quote, "I'm sorry for all of this."
And that he was going to be turning himself in a couple of hours, which we know to be the case. And I'm glad, Jesse, that you were clear that this was a nonviolent call to action that you're talking about. But there are a lot of people saying things like, "We are at war," and war has a very particular violent connotation to it. And from what we know thus far, and it's an ongoing investigation that it seems deeply complicated, but everybody from the president to Governor Cox to FBI Director Patel all seem to agree that he was radicalized online and seems to be part of this kind of internet nihilist group of kids, right, who spend all their times in Discord chats that play video games. And that makes sense because of what we saw in the bullet casings, right? The furry meme, which is old, by the way. I was reading about it. It's over 10 years old. So, you know, he's grown up on this, been seeing it for a long time. The Helldivers 2, the game, then the Ciao Bella, which has been used by both the left and the right, this anti-fascist call to action. If there is evidence that he was a leftist, and Cash talked this morning about this note that doesn't exist anymore, but through our aggressive interview posture, we know exactly what it said. They're going to have to do better than that for people to take it from the president and people who are supporting him in this, that this is a they problem, that the left came out and they took out Charlie Kirk. Now, it may absolutely be the case, but we know that Tyler Robinson was raised in a close-knit conservative family. We know it was a big gun culture family. The grandma said something like, "We don't even know any liberals." It wasn't school indoctrination. Carrie Lake went off on that. He was in an online apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College, which I don't think was changed.
I would just note
I
the
understand,
family
but
said
they didn't
he
say
changed.
when he changed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we need
They said
more
he articulated
information
his
before
hate
you
for Charlie
smear.
Kirk at a dinner.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.